Hey there. Before we get into today's episode, I've got something exciting to share with you. On Thursday, January the 9th, I'm hosting a free interactive co-working session to help you kick off Q1 with clarity and confidence. In 1 hour, we'll work together to pick the right goal for the season of your life, identify the resources you already have to make progress, and build a plan that actually works. No more spinning your wheels. This is the same process that helped me leave my part-time job and grow my business, and I can't wait to share it with you. So don't wait. Head to the show notes now and click the link to grab your seat. Let's make 2025 the year you finally take action on the goals that matter most to you. I'll see you there. Welcome back to the More Than Capable Mompreneur podcast. I'm Shannon Baker, a coffee-loving mompreneur that started as a virtual assistant and turned into a total systems geek. And I want to help you shift your mindset and embrace your worthiness while creating systems in your business so you can be more productive and build success on your own terms without the mom guilt. Are you loving that? Well, I hope you're ready for real conversations that will help you beat the perfectionist inside, rediscover your strengths, and up-level your self-love in the mom cracks of time so you can stop letting fear hold you back because you are enough and you do enough. We are more than capable mompreneurs. So grab your cup of coffee, some sparkling water, or pour a glass of your favorite wine and let's dive in. Sustainable growth. It's a term we hear all over the place and we see online all the time, and it's something that we all want, right? But exactly what is it? Well, I'm going to give you my definition, which is sustainable growth is when you have the needed systems in place to operate your business at the desired capacity you want, and you can maintain that without it requiring additional resources and without it compromising what is most important to you. So exactly what systems do you need in this type of growth strategy? Well, I'm going to share them with you in episode number 72. So let's dive in. Okay, let's be honest. Running a business can be stressful. And even if you get over that 3-year hump, there comes a point where you want to see growth, meaning your income has increased and hopefully it's consistent at this point. But the problem with this part of the journey is if you grow too fast and you don't have the needed systems in place, you end up overwhelmed and you probably are not providing the best client experience, which is also costing you money. Never forget, it's like 7 times easier to keep a client than it is to get a new one. So client satisfaction is definitely important, but you cannot achieve that without systems. The other issue many of us experience is we may hit a plateau and we can't figure out how to increase our revenue without it requiring more resources. What causes this problem? Again, it comes down to not having the right systems in place to run your business more efficiently. Keep in mind, a streamlined system reduces mistakes, produces consistent results, eliminates chaos and confusion, and is the foundation successful, scalable businesses are built on. Now, there are 6 core systems every business needs to achieve sustainable growth. I talked about 3 of them in episode number 62. Now, when these 3 systems are missing or they have gaps, it has a huge impact on your client experience. Those systems are your filing system, your scheduling system, and your communication system. So make sure you go back and listen to episode number 62 for more information on those 3 and definitely get those in place. Now, once they're in place, you can then turn your attention to the 3 systems I'm going to talk about today, which are vital parts of a sustainable growth strategy. They are a money management system, a backup system, and your sales and marketing system. So the first one sounds like a no-brainer, but it's one of the ones that's commonly overlooked. That's the money management system. Now, I know that you need to keep an eye on your money. And while you may be thinking, well, that's just common sense. Guess what? Most business owners do not know their numbers. And because of that, many small businesses do not survive. Let me share an experience with you. When I was working as a VA, one of my clients owned a catering business, and in her first year, she made over $70,000. But at the end of the year, Her bank account didn't reflect that type of balance, not even half of that. And as we started to work together, I identified the issue. She was missing a money management system. What's the impact? She had no idea what supplies was costing her. She didn't know what her personnel costs were. So she couldn't identify her profit margin because nothing was being tracked. Don't let that be you. A money management system helps you keep a finger on the pulse of the money that's coming into and going out of your business. So let's talk about those two areas. Money going out is all your recurring monthly expenses. That's subscriptions for the tools that you use in your systems, annual expenses that are recurring like professional memberships, other tools you only pay for once a year, website fees, membership fees, things like that. And then there are one-time expenses like conferences, networking events, professional development, online training courses, etc. But you can start tracking these expenses by just creating a simple spreadsheet with all of the items on it. Make sure you identify the date that it has to be paid or automatically comes out of your account, the amount, and how you're paying it, whether it's auto debit on your credit card that's attached to your business account, or if it's automatically deducted from your account. Why do you need to note how you're paying it? Because when your credit card expires, this chart will help you easily identify where to go and replace it with the new number. We tend to forget about things that are automatically deducted, either way, no matter how you're paying them. But you need to track that to make sure, one, that you are not double paying things or subscribing to things that you no longer need. So when you audit your systems at least twice a year, that way you can identify, are you paying for tools that are doing some of the same things so that you can identify what you can eliminate? You can only do that if you have them all where you can look at them at a glance. Now let's talk about your money coming in. Whether you invoice or you have paid appointments, you need to track your money. This is very important if you do monthly auto billing for your payments as well. You should have a process for what happens when payments are declined or when you've invoiced and the invoice is not paid and it's late. So guess what? You need to have templates. That way you can easily and quickly send a message to get this resolved. So you can see where the systems kind of work hand in hand to help you operate more efficiently. But most importantly, you see how important it is to track your money if you want sustainable growth. Now, if you want some tips to help you create a basic bookkeeping system, make sure you go back and listen to episode number 53, which is my chat with Stacy Isetta of the Small Business BFF, which stands for Best Financial Friend. And now let's talk about system number 2, a backup system. Now you may be scratching your head about this one, but in a nutshell, a backup system is a plan B to keep your business running. As a solopreneur, you need this to be in place so that your business can survive and thrive without you. The best time to prepare for an emergency is to have a plan in place before the emergency arises. And there are multiple areas that you need to have a backup plan in place for. One is your computer files. You should not be storing important documents that you use to run your business on your hard drive. Why? Because that means you're the only person that can access that information. Not to mention, what happens if your hard drive crashes and dies? Which has happened to me 2 times. What saved me from losing years of work and contracts and templates? Everything I used to run my business was stored in either Google Drive or Dropbox. Now, this is definitely critical if you plan to hire a virtual assistant in the future, because they need to have access to the files. Having those documents stored in the cloud, so to speak, makes it easy for them to complete their work and you don't become the bottleneck because the documents saved on your hard drive and they're waiting for you. You also need to have a backup plan in place for your website and your blog content. Speaking from experience again, my email and my website has been hacked before, and it is not fun to get that cleaned up. But because I had backups of my website content, I was able to get it cleaned up. And then with that backup, which was not infected, I was able to upload that content and just keep things moving. But if you don't have backup of your files, you can't make that happen. And the same goes for your CRM contacts. I recommend you download your email subscribers, if not once a quarter, no less than twice a year. This gives you a parachute in the event that something happens to your email marketing platform. You don't lose all of your contacts. And one that is often forgotten is having a backup for people when you start outsourcing. You definitely need to have a plan B. What happens when that person is out? So for instance, if you're working with a virtual assistant who handles major tasks like following up with your clients, responding to emails, sorting your inbox, etc., what happens when they go on vacation? Your business should not come to a halt. But if you haven't identified what plan B is in that instance, then you're going to have some problems. So identify that backup process in advance. And this is one that most do not have: an emergency preparedness plan. Remember this: if you do not have documented processes and systems in place, you do not have a business, you have a you. That means if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. So what happens to your business if something happens to you? That's something you need to think about. This is where the emergency preparedness plan comes into play. I actually know someone who had a major medical incident happen to her personally, and it shut her business down for over 6 months. But guess what? There wasn't an emergency plan for someone to put in place. So sad to say, that was the end of her business. I don't want that to happen to you. So what does this emergency preparedness plan need to have in it? Well, you need to identify an emergency point of contact and then have a manual that they can pick up and keep things going. That way, when and if you're not available, whether it's a family emergency because life happens, or your house gets flooded, or it catches on fire, or your Wi-Fi goes down, you have the plan in place already. But it has to be created in advance so that either you or someone else can pick that up and continue operating your business without a hiccup. Now, if you want some assistance creating an emergency preparedness plan for your business, check out episode number 28 because I share some tips that will help you get that process started. Now, we've talked about how important money is in this sustainable growth strategy. So let's talk about how you make money. You need to have a sales and marketing system. And let me start this one by saying sales and marketing are different. Marketing gets you seen, sales gets you paid. So your marketing builds the know, like, and trust factor. This includes your customer care process. How do you respond or engage with people when they contact you online, on social media, or via email? What happens when you start working with a new client? Do you have a welcome kit? What happens when you're offboarding a client? Is it a smooth transition, or does the relationship come to a screeching halt? All of that matters. How do you respond to messages on social media? Do you have canned templates in place so that you can respond quickly? If you have a podcast, what's your process when you have guests on your show? Is it a simple, easy, and seamless process for both of you to get that scheduled? Do you have a process to make sure you give your guests what they need to share the podcast episode with their community? And what about your email marketing? Do you have a welcome series in place when someone grabs your freebie? How often do you email your subscribers, and when do you do it? What's the format for your newsletters? All of these things and more need to be documented so that your marketing can be effective, which in turn brings in sales. Now, the sales will be of your products, your services, affiliate marketing for any products or services that you use and firmly believe in. That's residual income that you can create with those products. And if you want to branch out into public speaking, you should have a documented go or no-go process or a checklist of things that you can use to determine what you're going to accept and what you're going to decline. I even have one in place for reviewing podcast applications. It just makes life simpler. Check. They meet the requirements. Then I move forward. And if they don't, I have a process to move forward with that as well. Now, you may be wondering, okay, this all sounds great, but exactly how do I create these systems? Well, no worries. I got you. Make sure you go back and listen to episode 13 because I share a 4-step process that's going to help you document your processes as a simple checklist, and then you can use that to create your system. Now, this may sound overwhelming, especially if technology is not your friend, but you can do this. And if you need help with documenting your processes, identifying what tools to use, or just getting your systems in place, book a 60-minute clarity call with me. We can get it all mapped out and get all the pieces in place so you can cross systems off your to-do list and focus on growing your business and spending time on the things that you want to spend it on. So, thank you so much for joining me for this episode. You can find links to the other episodes that I mentioned in the show notes, as well as a link to my calendar to schedule that call. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these systems do you want to focus on first? I would love to hear it from you. Feel free to DM me on Instagram or take a screenshot of this episode and post it in stories and tag me at _Shannon Baker. I cannot wait to hear what you're going to work on first. And remember, you are more than enough. So until next time, keep calm and streamline.